Iconic westerns may have influenced the Supreme Court's rulings on gun laws. Best-selling author Malcolm Gladwell explains that theory in the latest episode of his Revisionist History podcast, of which the new 6-part series explores common misconceptions Americans have about guns. And Malcolm Gladwell joins us now right here on set. It's great to have you.
Morning.
Tell us about the series and about the connection here.
I immersed myself in the world of guns, and we've got 6 episodes. Some are super serious, and this one's a little lighter. I was trying to explain, there's an exchange during oral arguments in the big landmark gun case, Bruin versus New York State. And one of the justices, Alito, suggests he thinks that New Yorkers would be safer if we all carried weapons on the subway. Now, if you've ever ridden the subway, you know how ludicrous this is. So I was trying to figure out, where on earth would Alito get this? And Kavanaugh actually joins in and seems to think the same thing. So the question is, where on earth would you get such a lunatic notion that we would be better off if we were all, had our Lugers on the subway? And so I sort of whimsically suggest that it comes from, they were watching Gunsmoke as kids. Because Gunsmoke, if you go back and watch it, is the sort of craziest depiction of the so-called Wild West. It suggests that Dodge City was this lawless place where people were just shooting each other all the time, and the only way you could survive is if you were packing a revolver. In fact, Dodge City was a town that practiced incredibly strict gun control, and after an initial spate of violence early in its history, had an incredibly peaceful run until it sort of ceased to be an important cattle town. So Gunsmoke gets the American West all wrong, and people who watch Gunsmoke as a result get the American West all wrong. And if you fast forward 40 years, I suggested, if Sam Alito was little Sammy as a kid was watching too much Gunsmoke, it leads him during oral arguments in the Bruin case to suggest that New Yorkers would be safer if they all had their...
And by the way, Malcolm, that's not exactly a fringe argument. We hear it from a lot of gun rights advocates about school shootings, which is the answer to this is to give the teacher a gun so that when the person walks in with an AR-15, she can stop her lesson in kindergarten, reach in and get her Glock out and stop the shooting. This is a real thing that's argued, by the way, in the highest reaches of the Senate and everywhere else.
It's crazy because people who know guns, and I spend in this series a lot of time talking with people who take guns seriously. One of the things they impressed upon me, which is sort of obvious if you know guns, which is it's very, very difficult to fire a gun accurately. And, guns are meant to be used by people who know how to use guns. The answer, if you want to see carnage, give a bunch of, tired commuters on the subway, a Glock, and ask them if you've ever ridden the subway, or been in if a school shooter came in and every teacher had a handgun. I mean, it would be even worse chaos.
Well, we're dealing with an epidemic of gun violence in this country right now, for sure. So this is so timely. Joe's with us, and he's got the next question. Joe?
Well, and the thing is, the epidemic obviously has gotten worse over the past 10, 15 years. You just look at the numbers, and mass shootings have just escalated. I want to dig in a little deeper, though, about the America that so many of us grew up in. And that was America where Gunsmoke wasn't just sort of like a one-season flash in the pan. It was the longest-running show, right, in American history.
Exactly.
My family we all grew up watching John Wayne, How the West Was Won, True Grit, you name it. And that was popular culture. We all grew up as little kids running, you look at 50s and 60s movies, little kids are running around in the yard, and they all have toy guns. It was almost like an extension of our arms, and we were immersed in that in popular culture. That's obviously changed a bit, but again, it has framed how especially older Americans have looked at guns, right? What is a good person with a gun stops a bad person with a gun every time. That's sort of the John Wayne ethos, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and it's fundamentally ahistorical. The way the the Wild West worked was if you were a cattle guy and you rode into Dodge City in 1870 or whatever it was, you were required to check your revolver basically at the sheriff's office, and you got a little chit. And then you went and did your drinking and your carousing, and when you left, you handed in like a coat check and picked up your gun again. I mean, that's a level of gun control that would be unheard of in American cities today. That's how they tamed the Wild West. They brought in professional police officers, and they enforced a level of gun control we haven't seen since. So we have this notion that somehow the Wild West was a place that where you were required to defend yourself. Nothing could be further from the truth. It was a place where they took away your gun before you could enter the town.
But the fact that the old Westerns, Lone Ranger or Bonanza or Gunsmoke, the fact that is it historically accurate isn't the issue, right? Mm-hmm. The issue is what is it trying to call forward in the consciousness of the American people? What is happening here? But you also have an episode 5, I think, about the footnote. Mm-hmm. What's going on in Montgomery, Alabama that struck your attention that you want to talk about?
I read this article from years ago in an obscure criminology journal, and at the end there was this little footnote, and the author of the article writes a personal note. I don't want to give it away, but the minute I read that little footnote, first of all, I was moved, and I made a picture on my phone and sent it to all my friends, and everyone just said, "Oh my God!" So I went to the town. This guy's older now; he's in his 80s, and I sat down with him and I had him tell me the story of the footnote. Basically, he did an academic study about the consequences of the fact that black and white people in Alabama have very different access to health care. Meaning that if you get shot and you're black in Alabama in that era, you were far more likely to die of your wounds than if you were white, because the hospital you'd be sent to was farther away, et cetera, et cetera. And then he had something that happened to him in his life, which precisely proved the point he was making in the article. And the story of that episode is the story of what happened in his life that made him, that sort of brought the message of his research home. And I went and sat in this old plantation house, just north of Montgomery, and this man in his 80s told me the story that would just break your heart.
Wow.
Back to guns, Malcolm, and back to school teachers carrying guns. The thing about guns in America is if someone comes into your home with a gun, if someone comes onto the subway train with a gun, that's who they are. If you're carrying a gun that you just recently purchased because of fear or whatever, you're going to lose that fight because you'll hesitate to shoot. The person with the gun who does it for a living, they won't hesitate. That's the thing that a lot of people seem to misconstrue.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I interviewed a bunch of New York City police officers about this question of whether they thought it was advisable for civilians to carry guns on the subway. And they were pretty universal in their dismay at the notion. And one of them said to me, I fire guns, I'm someone who's trained to carry a gun, and I know from observing myself and my fellow officers how hard it is to fire a gun under pressure. The last thing I want is like the whole subway car full of people shooting. So it's funny because I was listening, I got really into the oral arguments, Supreme Court oral arguments, which you can listen to, right? And if you listen to the oral arguments in the Bruin case, this landmark gun case, and you listen to the conservative justices talk about what the kind of vision they have of America, it's just like, it's so nuts that you just think, how on earth did these people get on the Supreme Court? I mean, it's just like,
I know.
I mean, I'm normally quite, accepting of a wide variety of opinions, but at this point I was like, these guys are out of their minds. I mean, it's just
Joe, jump in.
Yeah, I just also want to talk about historical perspective. And, Malcolm, I always talk about abortion, how, Southern Baptists were pro-choice, not only through the Beatles breakup, but through the Eagles breakup. It was until they had to figure out how to beat a Southern Baptist Democrat that they suddenly changed their position. You can look at guns and say the same thing. In 1967, 1968, when the Black Panthers were using the Second Amendment to arm in California, and California had pretty permissive gun laws. suddenly Ronald Reagan and the NRA supported a tough law restricting the right to keep and bear arms in California. And Ronald Reagan said that he saw no reason why the streets today, a citizen should be carrying loaded weapons, and that guns were, quote, a ridiculous way to solve problems that have to be solved by people of good will.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, this is why on Revisionist History we sort of chose to do this big series on guns, because something weird, we've taken this kind of weird U-turn on this subject in this country. And I think one of the reasons is, you know, the mass shootings have sort of so obsessed both sides. And one of the points I make in the series is that as a percentage of shootings, they're tiny. I mean, the gun problem in this country is a urban shooting phenomenon with people using stolen weapons. And mass shootings get a lot of the kind of press attention, but they're this much of the overall problem.